live. What an atmosphere here tonight. The crowd is ready, and so are we for kickoff. Welcome back to the main event, live from the stadium. The atmosphere here tonight is absolutely electric, and we are just moments away from kickoff. And we are live. What an atmosphere here tonight. The crowd is ready, and so are we for kickoff. Welcome back to the main event, live from the stadium. The atmosphere here tonight is absolutely electric, and we are just moments away from kickoff. And we are live. What an atmosphere here tonight. The crowd is ready, and so are we for kickoff. Welcome back to the main event, live from the stadium. The atmosphere here tonight is absolutely electric, and we are just moments away from kickoff. And we are live. What an atmosphere here tonight. The crowd is ready, and so are we for kickoff. Welcome back to the main event, live from the stadium. The atmosphere here tonight is absolutely electric, and we are just moments away from kickoff. And we are live. What an atmosphere here tonight. The crowd is ready, and so are we for kickoff. Welcome back to the main event, live from the stadium. The atmosphere here tonight is absolutely electric, and we are just moments away from kickoff. And we are live. What an atmosphere here tonight. The crowd is ready, and so are we for kickoff. Welcome back to the main event, live from the stadium. The atmosphere here tonight is absolutely electric, and we are just moments away from kickoff. And we are live. What an atmosphere here tonight. The crowd is ready, and so are we for kickoff. Welcome back to the main event, live from the stadium. The atmosphere here tonight is absolutely electric, and we are just moments away from kickoff. And we are live. What an atmosphere here tonight. The crowd is ready, and so are we for kickoff. Welcome back to the main event, live from the stadium. The atmosphere here tonight is absolutely electric, and we are just moments away from kickoff. And we are live. What an atmosphere here tonight. The crowd is ready, and so are we for kickoff. Welcome back to the main event, live from the stadium. The atmosphere here tonight is absolutely electric, and we are just moments away from kickoff. And we are live. What an atmosphere here tonight. The crowd is ready, and so are we for kickoff. Welcome back to the main event, live from the stadium. The atmosphere here tonight is absolutely electric, and we are just moments away from kickoff. And we are live. What an atmosphere here tonight. The crowd is ready, and so are we for kickoff. Welcome back to the main event, live from the stadium. The atmosphere here tonight is absolutely electric, and we are just moments away from kickoff. And we are live. What an atmosphere here tonight. The crowd is ready, and so are we for kickoff. Welcome back to the main event, live from the stadium. The atmosphere here tonight is absolutely electric, and we are just moments away from kickoff. And we are live. What an atmosphere here tonight. The crowd is ready, and so are we for kickoff. Welcome back to the main event, live from the stadium. The atmosphere here tonight is absolutely electric, and we are just moments away from kickoff. And we are live. What an atmosphere here tonight. The crowd is ready, and so are we for kickoff. Welcome back to the main event, live from the stadium. The atmosphere here tonight is absolutely electric, and we are just moments away from kickoff. And we are live. What an atmosphere here tonight. The crowd is ready, and so are we for kickoff. Welcome back to the main event, live from the stadium. The atmosphere here tonight is absolutely electric, and we are just moments away from kickoff. And we are live. What an atmosphere here tonight. The crowd is ready, and so are we for kickoff. Welcome back to the main event, live from the stadium. The atmosphere here tonight is absolutely electric, and we are just moments away from kickoff. And we are live. What an atmosphere here tonight. The crowd is ready, and so are we for kickoff. Welcome back to the main event, live from the stadium. The atmosphere here tonight is absolutely electric, and we are just moments away from kickoff. And we are live. What an atmosphere here tonight. The crowd is ready, and so are we for kickoff. Welcome back to the main event, live from the stadium. The atmosphere here tonight is absolutely electric, and we are just moments away from kickoff. And we are live. What an atmosphere here tonight. The crowd is ready, and so are we for kickoff. Welcome back to the main event, live from the stadium. The atmosphere here tonight is absolutely electric, and we are just moments away from kickoff. And we are live. What an atmosphere here tonight. The crowd is ready, and so are we for kickoff. Welcome back to the main event, live from the stadium. The atmosphere here tonight is absolutely electric, and we are just moments away from kickoff. And we are...
The deafening roar of the Naturena faithful is finally echoing with absolute pride once again. If you have been following the absolute rollercoaster that is the Kaizer Chiefs season, you know exactly how heavy the atmosphere has been over the past few months. But right now, as we stand in the aftermath of that massive, statement-making 2-0 victory over Magesi Football Club, it feels like a completely new dawn has broken over the Kaizer Chiefs village. Let us take a moment to truly digest what happened on that pitch, because it was a masterclass in resilience. The boys stepped onto the grass knowing that anything less than 3 points was completely unacceptable. And they delivered. When Wandile Duba found the back of the net in the 32nd minute, you could literally feel the collective sigh of relief from millions of Amakhosi fans around the globe. It was a goal born out of pure determination and tactical execution. And just when Magesi tried to throw everything forward in desperation during the dying moments of the match, Vilakazi stepped up in the 84th minute to put the final nail in the coffin, securing a flawless 2-0 win and a beautiful clean sheet. This is not just a single victory, this is a massive turning point in our Betway Premiership campaign. We are now officially riding the momentum of back-to-back victories. That horrific, nightmare 4-game losing streak that threatened to completely derail our season is now officially dead and buried in the past. Looking closely at the current league standings, those 3 points have catapulted us right back into the absolute thick of the fight for continental qualification. We are breathing right down the necks of the teams occupying the top 3 spots, and the dream of bringing CAF Champions League football back to the FNB Stadium is looking incredibly realistic. The mood at Naturena right now is electric. The smiles have returned to the training ground. The intense, suffocating pressure on the coaching staff has finally started to dissipate, and there is a renewed sense of absolute belief flowing through the veins of every single player wearing the gold and black jersey. The fans are walking tall in the streets again, and the fear factor is slowly returning to this historic badge. But let us be brutally honest with ourselves. Back-to-back wins are fantastic, and grinding out results is a sign of character. But Kaizer Chiefs is an institution that demands absolute supremacy, not just top 3 finishes or scraping by against relegation candidates. The management, the technical team, and the fans all know the harsh reality. If this squad wants to legitimately challenge for the league title next season, and if we want to conquer Africa and dominate the continent, the current squad depth is simply not going to be enough. There are still glaring holes in this starting 11 that have been exposed time and time again this season. A few good results cannot paper over the cracks of a squad that lacks depth in critical areas. The boardroom at Naturena is fully aware of this, and behind closed doors, they are already working overtime ahead of the upcoming transfer window to secure the signatures of some of the most lethal and dominant players on the African continent. We are about to dive deep into the absolute biggest, most explosive transfer targets that Kaizer Chiefs are actively pursuing right now. We are going to break down exactly who these heavy hitters are, what they bring to the table, and how they will completely transform this team from top 4 contenders into undisputed champions. The level of ambition being shown in the boardroom right now is staggering. But before we expose these massive transfer secrets and break down the players who could be wearing our colors next season, I need every single true Amakhosi fan watching this to hit that subscribe button right now. We are building the most passionate, educated football community on the internet, and you absolutely do not want to miss our exclusive tactical breakdowns and breaking transfer news. Make your voice heard by dropping a comment below right now and answering this vital question. Looking at the squad that just secured those back-to-back wins, do you honestly believe we are only 2 or 3 world-class signings away from winning the league? Or does this entire team still need a massive, total overhaul? Let us take a hard, unfiltered look at the current Betway Premiership standings, because the math is finally starting to work in our favor. That brilliant victory over Magesi has completely altered the landscape of our season. We are sitting with those crucial points in the bag, but the most important detail that every single Kaizer Chiefs fan needs to understand right now is the games in hand. We are chasing down Sekhukhune United and Amazulu, who are sitting in those coveted 3rd and 4th positions. But they have played more games than us. The destiny of this season is no longer relying on other teams dropping points. It is entirely in our own hands. If we win our games in hand, we mathematically leapfrog the teams above us and inject ourselves directly into the top 3. We are not just fighting for pride anymore, we are fighting for continental supremacy. We are fighting to bring CAF Champions League football back to the calabash, where it rightfully belongs. But to achieve that, we are about to enter the most grueling, unforgiving stretch of our entire campaign. The next 5 fixtures are going to define the legacy of this squad, and we need to break down exactly what lies ahead. Before we analyze this absolute gauntlet of a fixture list, make sure you smash that subscribe button. We are tracking this race for Africa every single week, and you do not want to miss our tactical previews. Drop a comment below right now and answer this. Looking at the teams above us, who are you more worried about catching, Amazulu or Sekhukhune United? The first massive hurdle in this 5-game run is an absolute war of attrition away from home against SuperSport United. We all know exactly how Gavin Hunt sets his teams up. They're going to be physical, they're going to dominate the set pieces, and they're going to try to bully our midfield. This is not going to be a game for pretty, fluid football. This is going to be a dogfight in the trenches. Players like Inacio Miguel and Bradley Cross are going to have to win every single aerial duel, and our midfield engine room must be prepared to bleed for the badge. Immediately after that, we return to the FNB Stadium to host a completely different type of threat in Cape Town City. Eric Tinkler's men love to possess the ball, they play with intricate passing networks, and their wingers are incredibly dynamic. This match will be the ultimate test of our tactical discipline. If we press them too high, they will slice through us, but if we sit too deep, they will dictate the tempo in our own backyard. It requires absolute perfection from our defensive midfielders to cut off their passing lanes and launch rapid counter-attacks. Hit that subscribe button right now to join the most elite tactical football community on YouTube. I need your predictions in the comments. Between the physical battle of SuperSport and the tactical test of Cape Town City, which game is going to be the harder challenge for Kaizer Chiefs? If we survive those 2 encounters, the pressure continues to mount as we travel to KwaZulu-Natal to face Royal AM in what is always a hostile, unpredictable environment. Royal AM on the day can hurt absolutely anyone in the league, especially when they are playing in front of their passionate home crowd. We cannot afford any defensive lapses or mental fatigue in this fixture, because they thrive on punishing mistakes. But the truth is, all of these matches are just the warm-up for the ultimate, undisputed heavyweight clash of the season. The 4th match in this brutal run is at home against the absolute measuring stick of South African football, Mamelodi Sundowns. This is the game where we find out exactly what this squad is made of. Sundowns are sitting comfortably at the top of the table, and they come into every game expecting to dominate. But Naturena will be a fortress. We have to disrupt their rhythm, play with absolute fearlessness, and show the entire continent that the Glamour Boys are no longer intimidated by the Brazilians. This is the match that could single-handedly announce our return to the absolute pinnacle of African football. You absolutely have to be subscribed to the channel for the build-up to that massive Sundowns game. Get into the chat right now and let your voice be heard. Do we currently have the tactical setup to go toe-to-toe with Mamelodi Sundowns and take all 3 points, or do we have to play defensively and hope for a draw? The final match to round out this crucial 5-game gauntlet is a tricky, potential banana skin fixture against Polokwane City. After the emotional high of playing Sundowns, the biggest danger here is complacency. Polokwane City are defensive stalwarts. They are incredibly tough to break down, and they have proven they can steal points from the big boys. We cannot afford a hangover. We need to be ruthless and professional. Now, let us look at the ultimate prize. If Kaizer Chiefs navigate this brutal 5-game stretch successfully, if we can secure 12 to 15 points from these massive encounters, the picture completely changes. We will not just be competing for a CAF Confederation Cup spot. We will be cementing ourselves in second place, breathing right down the necks of Orlando Pirates, and securing our ticket to the CAF Champions League. That is the promised land. That is the financial boost and the global prestige that this club desperately needs to attract the biggest transfer targets on the continent next season. The stakes have literally never been higher. Thank you to everyone engaging in this massive watch-along and breakdown. Please, before you leave, ensure you have smashed that subscribe button and liked the video to help the channel grow. I want every single true fan to drop their final verdict in the comments right now. Out of a possible 15 points from these next 5 massive games, exactly how many points will Kaizer Chiefs realistically secure? Now, we have to turn our absolute undivided attention to the most critical position on the football pitch, the foundation upon which every single championship-winning dynasty is built. We have to talk about the man standing between the sticks. Let us be brutally honest with each other, Amakhosi family. For far too long, the goalkeeping department at Naturena has been a source of anxiety rather than absolute security. We have endured heart-stopping moments, miscommunications at the back, and a lack of that commanding, intimidating presence that makes opposition strikers think twice before pulling the trigger. Bruce Beaverma has certainly bled for the badge and delivered some brilliant individual performances, but the agonizing truth is that the consistency required to win a Betway Premiership title has simply not been there week in and week out. And with the ongoing uncertainty surrounding the international quota and Fiacre Ntwari's long-term role at the club, the Kaizer Chiefs management knows they cannot afford to gamble on this position any longer. The margin for error at the highest level of African football is 0. You need a goalkeeper who will single-handedly win you 10 to 15 points a season. You need a wall. And that brings us to the absolute primary target on the Kaizer Chiefs' radar, the Nigerian international colossus himself, Stanley Nwabali. When you mention the name Stanley Nwabali on the African continent right now, it commands immediate respect. We are not just talking about a good shot stopper, we are talking about a physical phenomenon. Standing tall and broad, Nwabali is an absolute giant who dominates his penalty area with terrifying authority. But what truly sets him apart from every other goalkeeper currently playing in the South African top flight is his proven, undeniable ability to perform under the most suffocating, crushing pressure imaginable. We all witnessed his legendary performances for the Super Eagles of Nigeria during the Africa Cup of Nations. When the lights were at their absolute brightest, when the hopes of over 200 million Nigerians rested squarely on his shoulders, he did not just survive, he thrived. He was saving penalties in high-stakes shootouts, claiming crosses in the 95th minute, and barking orders at world-class defenders. That is the exact DNA, that absolute ice-cold mentality, that Kaizer Chiefs are desperately crying out for right now. Playing in front of 90,000 screaming, demanding fans at the FNB Stadium can shatter a weak mentality, but for a player like Stanley Nwabali, that kind of pressure is just another Tuesday. He would walk through the doors at Naturena not as a prospect hoping to develop, but as an established, battle-hardened general ready to take command of that defense from minute one. Beyond just his shot-stopping reflexes and his incredible aerial dominance, bringing Stanley Nwabali to Naturena would be the ultimate, earth-shattering statement signing of the transfer window. It sends a chilling message directly to Clawcop, to Mayfair, and to the elite clubs across North Africa. It tells the entire continent that Kaizer Chiefs are no longer in a rebuilding phase, but that the sleeping giant is fully awake and coming for the crown. You do not sign the Nigerian national team's #1 goalkeeper just to compete for a top 4 finish in the Betway Premiership. You sign a player of Nwabali's elite, global caliber because you have absolute intentions of dominating the CAF Champions League. He is the caliber of player who instantly elevates the standards of every single player in the dressing room. Imagine a Kaizer Chiefs backline knowing they have that kind of absolute security behind them. The fullbacks can push higher, the centre-backs can play with more confidence, and the entire tactical setup of the team transforms. This is the transfer that could completely shift the balance of power in South African football. We are monitoring this situation day and night, so make sure you hit that subscribe button right now so you do not miss the breaking news when the official offers are tabled. I need every single one of you in the comments section right now. Let us get this debate moving. If Kaizer Chiefs manage to pull off this massive signing, does Stanley Nwabali immediately walk in and become the absolute best goalkeeper in the Betway Premiership, or does Ronwen Williams still hold that crown? Drop your Moving slightly up the pitch, we have to address the absolute glaring reality that even the greatest goalkeeper in the world cannot keep a clean sheet if the defensive line in front of him is constantly crumbling under pressure. For Kaizer Chiefs to truly reclaim their throne, they need a general. They need an absolute commander at the heart of that defense, someone who reads the game like a grandmaster and organizes the back four with unquestionable authority. And that is exactly why the technical team at Naturena is heavily monitoring the contract situation of the most sought-after centre-back in South African football right now, the absolute defensive rock of Stellenbosch FC, Thabo Moloisane. This is where the transfer market gets incredibly spicy, because the behind-the-scenes drama is unfolding exactly how Kaizer Chiefs would want it to. As we speak, Moloisane is actively stalling on signing a new contract extension in the Cape Winelands. Stellenbosch CEO Rob Benedy recently admitted publicly that despite tabling a very competitive offer, the player has not put pen to paper. He is inching closer and closer to becoming a highly coveted free agent. When a player of his elite caliber hesitates to sign a new deal, it means his agent is listening to offers, and it means the undeniable lure of wearing the iconic gold and black jersey at the FNB Stadium is playing heavily on his mind. Stellenbosch is a fantastic club, but Kaizer Chiefs is an absolute institution, and Moloisane knows that to cement his legacy, he needs to perform on the biggest stage imaginable. What makes Thabo Moloisane the absolute perfect transfer target for Kaizer Chiefs is his undeniable pedigree. We are not talking about a young prospect who needs time to develop. We are talking about a fully fledged Bafana international who brings a profound sense of calm leadership to the backline. When the game becomes chaotic, when the opposition is throwing men forward and the pressure is suffocating, Moloisane is the player who puts his foot on the ball and slows the tempo down. He possesses an elite footballing IQ, his positional awareness is world-class, and his ability to play out from the back with pinpoint accuracy is exactly what this Kaizer Chiefs tactical system desperately requires. He is not just a defender who clears the ball into the stands, he is the first point of attack. Having a player with his international experience means he will not be intimidated by the heavy, crushing expectations of the Naturena faithful. He has faced the best attackers on the continent while wearing the national team colors, and he is fully equipped to handle the immense weight of the Kaizer Chiefs badge. But the most mouth-watering prospect of this potential transfer is the devastating partnership he would form with our current defensive warrior, Inacio Miguel. To build a championship-winning defense, you need the perfect balance of fire and ice. Inacio Miguel is the absolute fire. He is aggressive, he is physical, he loves to step out of the defensive line to crunch into tackles, and he wears his heart on his sleeve. But because of that aggression, he sometimes leaves spaces behind him. That is where the absolute ice-cold composure of Thabo Moloisane becomes the ultimate fix. Moloisane is the classic sweeping centre-back. He reads the danger before it even happens, he covers the spaces, and he orchestrates the offside trap. Pairing Miguel's raw, terrifying aggression with Moloisane's calm, calculated brilliance would instantly create the most formidable, impenetrable central defensive pairing in the Betway Premiership. It would completely liberate our fullbacks to bomb forward and join the attack, knowing that the back door is securely locked by two absolute titans. This is a tactical match made in absolute heaven, and the Kaizer Chiefs management must do whatever it takes to get this deal over the line. If you are as hyped about this potential defensive masterclass as I am, You absolutely need to smash that subscribe button right now to join the ultimate Amakhosi family. We are growing this community every single day, and your support means the world. Drop a comment down below right now and answer this massive question. If Kaizer Chiefs successfully sign Thabo Moloisane, does he immediately get the captain's armband, or does he need to earn that respect in his first season? Let's get the debate going. Shifting our focus from the defensive foundation straight to the absolute business end of the pitch, we have to talk about the relentless, never-ending search for a guaranteed, lethal goalscorer. Let us be completely honest, Kaizer Chiefs have been crying out for a ruthless number 9 for years. We need a striker who strikes absolute terror into the hearts of opposition defenders before the referee even blows the first whistle. And the name that simply refuses to fade from the Naturena radar is the Ugandan powerhouse himself, Stephen Mukwala. Now, we all know the complicated history here. Amakhosi fans watched in absolute agony as Mukwala secured a massive transfer to the Libyan giants Al Nassr SC Benghazi earlier this year. It felt like the ultimate missed opportunity, the marquee striker that slipped right through our fingers. But here is the absolute breaking reality of the situation. The Kaizer Chiefs scouting network has not taken their eyes off him for a single second. He remains heavily, intensely monitored by the technical team because they know he is the exact profile of player this squad is completely desperate for. Playing in North Africa is incredibly lucrative, but the undeniable prestige of leading the line for Kaizer Chiefs, of being the main man at the iconic FNB Stadium, is a completely different level of footballing immortality. The management knows that if they want to build a dynasty, they cannot just settle. They have to go after their primary targets relentlessly, even if those targets have recently moved elsewhere. When you analyze Stephen Mukwala's overall game, it is blindingly obvious why the Chiefs' technical team is so utterly obsessed with bringing him to South Africa. He brings a terrifying combination of attributes that our current attacking lineup is completely lacking. We are talking about explosive, raw pace that completely shatters high defensive lines. But he is not just a speed merchant, he is an absolute physical unit. He possesses the sheer strength to back into centre-backs, hold up the ball under immense pressure, and physically bully defenders out of his way. When you combine that raw physicality with his clinical, cold-blooded finishing inside the penalty area, you have the blueprint for the ultimate African striker. We have talented forwards like Flavio Silva and Wandile Duba, but Mukwala offers that devastating focal point, a player who guarantees you 15 to 20 goals a season through sheer force of will. He is the kind of striker who turns frustrating 0-0 draws into scrappy 1-0 victories just by bullying his way to a goal out of absolutely nothing. That is the hallmark of a championship-winning team, the ability to win ugly because your striker demands it. But let us be crystal clear about what this transfer would actually take, because securing a player of Mukwala's caliber from a North African club is not a simple negotiation. It would require an absolute, massive financial flex from the Kaizer Chiefs management. To buy him out of his current Al Nassr contract, the Naturena boardroom will have to break the bank. It is going to cost serious, heavy money. But this is exactly where the club needs to make a definitive statement to the fans and to the rest of the continent. If you want to dominate the Betway Premiership and conquer the CAF Champions League, you cannot bargain hunt for strikers. You have to pay the premium for guaranteed goals. Breaking the bank for Stephen Mukwala would prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that the Kaizer Chiefs hierarchy is absolutely dead serious about returning to the pinnacle of African football. If you are as desperate as I am to see a true, bullying number 9 wearing the gold and black, you absolutely have to smash that subscribe button right now. We are bringing you the hardest hitting transfer analysis on YouTube, and your support keeps this channel alive. Get straight into the comment section right now and let your voice be heard. Do you want the Kaizer Chiefs management to flex their financial muscle and spend whatever it takes to buy Stephen Mukwala out of his contract? Or is there another striker on the continent you would rather they spend those millions on? Let the debate begin. If we are talking about absolute, undisputed firepower, if we are looking at the very pinnacle of attacking talent on the African continent right now, then we have to talk about the ultimate Marquee Sniper, Fiston Mayele. Let us step away from the physical target men for a second and look at the profile of an elite, cold-blooded finisher. But before we get carried away, we have to inject a massive dose of absolute realism into this conversation. We all know the financial muscle of North African football. Mayele is currently plying his trade with Pyramids FC in Egypt, a club backed by astronomical wealth. To pry him away from that kind of financial package, Kaizer Chiefs would not just have to break the bank, they would have to completely restructure their wage bill. It is an incredibly difficult, monumental mountain to climb. But if you are the Kaizer Chiefs management, and you want to definitively prove to your millions of fans that the days of settling for mediocrity are officially over, this is the exact phone call you have to make. You have to ask the question. You have to test the waters, because a player of this magnitude changes the entire trajectory of a football club. To understand why Fiston Mayele is the ultimate dream signing, you just have to look at his devastating track record. Anyone who watched his absolute reign of terror during his time at Young Africans in Tanzania knows exactly what I am talking about. He was not just scoring goals, he was scoring every type of goal imaginable. He is the ultimate, deadly box striker. He possesses that rare, predatory instinct that you simply cannot teach on a training ground. He knows exactly where the ball is going to drop in the penalty area a split second before the defense. When he gets half a yard of space, he does not panic, he punishes you. Whether it is a towering header, a first-time volley, or a scrappy tap-in, he guarantees you 15 to 20 goals a season, minimum. While other strikers need 4 or 5 clear-cut chances to find the back of the net, Mayele only needs one. In tight, gritty Betway Premiership matches where Kaizer Chiefs are struggling to break down a low defensive block, having a sniper like Mayele means you always have a lethal weapon ready to fire. This is not just about scoring goals in domestic cup games. This is about the bigger picture. This is about continental supremacy. Fiston Mayele is the exact, undeniable caliber of player that a team needs to win the Betway Premiership and completely dominate the CAF Champions League. He is a player who has proven himself biggest stages against the toughest defenses in Africa. If Kaizer Chiefs are serious about going toe-to-toe with the likes of Mamelodi Sundowns, Al Ahly, and Wydad Casablanca, they need players who look those giants in the eye and do not blink. Mayele brings that elite, winning arrogance. Signing him would send shockwaves from Johannesburg all the way to Cairo. It would be the most spectacular transfer in the modern history of the PSL. It is a long shot, it would require a financial miracle, but it is exactly the kind of ambition this historic badge demands. If you love this kind of deep, realistic transfer analysis, you need to do yourself a favor and smash that subscribe button right now. We are the fastest growing Kaizer Chiefs community on the internet, and we want you with us for the ride. Jump straight into the comments section right now and answer this ultimate question. Should Kaizer Chiefs risk their financial stability to bring Fiston Mayele to Naturena, or is it completely unrealistic to compete with Egyptian money? Drop your hot takes below. But listen, Amakhosi family, before we get completely carried away dreaming about these massive, multi-million rand signings, we have to wake up and face the harsh, uncomfortable reality of modern football. You cannot just keep bringing in heavy-hitting, elite superstars without balancing the books. Kaizer Chiefs is a massive institution, but they do not have an unlimited, bottomless pit of money. If the management truly wants to break the bank for players like Stanley Nwabali, Thabo Moloisane, or Stephen Mukwala, they have to drastically clear out the Deadwood. They have to ruthlessly slash the current wage bill, who are collecting massive paychecks without delivering championship-winning performances on the pitch. The era of carrying passengers is officially over. The upcoming transfer window is not just about who is coming through the gates at the FNB Stadium. It is going to be defined by a massive, ruthless exodus of players who are simply not at the level required to win the Betway Premiership or compete in the CAF Champions League. The biggest and most obvious departure face is the veteran playmaker, Gaston Sirino. When Sirino arrived at Naturena, there was genuine excitement. He brought a wealth of championship-winning experience from his legendary time at Mamelodi Sundowns. But let us be completely honest about his current situation in March 2026. He just turned 35 years old, his contract officially expires at the end of this season, and his massive salary simply does not justify his output anymore. The harsh truth is that he has spent the vast majority of this campaign coming off the bench, contributing barely a handful of goals and assists across all his appearances. He is one of the highest earners at the club, and renewing his contract would be an absolute financial disaster if we are trying to fund a massive squad rebuild. The technical team knows that Sirino's legs cannot keep up with the high-intensity, pressing football that is required to dominate the modern game. Parting ways with him at the end of June is not just a probability. It is an absolute financial necessity to free up the budget for younger, hungrier, and more dynamic attacking talent. But Sirino is not the only player packing his bags, because the management is heavily scrutinizing the fringe players who have failed to grab their opportunities. The Naturena exit door is going to be incredibly busy. We are looking at players who are currently sitting in the final months of their contracts and playing for their survival. The likes of Puel Modi, who has struggled to find any real consistency on the wing, and Sibingiseni Ox Mtethwa, who has completely fallen down the pecking order in the midfield engine room,